Welcome to the channel. Hit subscribe and dive into stories that'll stay with you long after the video ends. Let's begin. The first time Ethan saw her face again, it was on the cover of a magazine. He was standing in line at a corner store, half awake, clutching a lukewarm coffee, when his eyes caught the shimmer of glossy paper, and there she was, Lila. Her name wasn't printed on the cover, but he knew that face, the soft arch of her cheekbones, the same small scar near her left eyebrow, barely visible under the makeup. She was wearing a diamond necklace, her eyes locked on the camera with that old, impossible calm. The headline read, "The Secret Heiress Who Took Manhattan." Ethan's breath hitched. It didn't make sense. Just 6 months ago, she'd told him she was broke, sitting in his kitchen, wearing his hoodie, hands wrapped around a chipped mug. She'd said her rent was overdue, that her card had been declined 3 times that week. He remembered the way she laughed it off, brushing hair from her eyes. "I'm a disaster," she'd said, smiling through it. "You deserve someone who at least owns a working debit card." And then she was gone, no calls, no messages, just gone. Now her face stared back at him from the magazine rack, draped in jewels and light. He dropped the coffee. It hit the floor, splattering brown across the tiles. The clerk swore under his breath, but Ethan didn't hear him. He grabbed the magazine, flipped to the article. Pages of her life unfolded. Designer names, penthouse parties, the mystery woman who rose from nothing. But it wasn't her story. It couldn't be. Lila hadn't been a mystery. She'd been real, broke, warm, late to everything, humming songs she never finished. The man behind the counter spoke again, pulling Ethan back to the present. "You buying that or just reading for free?" He fumbled for his wallet, tossed a few bills down, and stepped outside. The cold air hit him like a slap. He turned the magazine over again and again, scanning every photo. There were shots of her laughing beside men in tailored suits, sipping champagne on a rooftop. Her posture was different now, taller, sharper, like she'd grown armor. He didn't know what to think. Was it really her? He sat in his car, the heater humming low, staring at the page until the print blurred. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister. "Dinner tonight?" "Don't flake again." He ignored it. Instead, he typed her name into his search bar. The results filled instantly. Lila Wren, socialite, philanthropist, heiress of the late Charles Wren fortune. Charles Wren. That name hit him like a nail. The man was worth billions. Hotels, tech startups, media empires. He remembered something she'd once said, almost as a joke. "If I told you who my dad was, you'd never believe me." He'd laughed. She hadn't. The magazine lay open on the passenger seat, her photograph staring up at him like a challenge. He whispered her name once, quietly. "Lila." Then he turned the key in the ignition and started driving. He didn't know where yet, just that he needed to find her and ask her one simple question. Why did she lie? The road unfurled beneath his headlights like a ribbon of silver and black. Rain had started to fall, thin, sharp threads against the windshield, and each drop seemed to echo the question pounding in his chest. Why would Lila lie? Ethan drove through the night, following instinct more than direction. He remembered where she used to live, a faded brick apartment on 8th Avenue, above a Thai restaurant that always smelled like burnt oil and basil. It had been their place, noisy, cluttered, alive. He parked outside, engine running, and stared up at the windows. The light that used to glow there was gone. The curtains were new. Someone else lived there now. Still, he got out, walked up the narrow stairs, each creak pulling another memory to the surface, her voice echoing down the hall, the way she'd yell, "It's open," before he'd even knocked. Now the door at the top was painted gray. Stranger answered. "Sorry," Ethan said. "Does Lila still live here?" The man blinked. "Lila? No one by that name here. I moved in 2 months ago." Ethan nodded, forced a smile. "Right, thanks." Back outside, the rain thickened. The city lights smeared across the wet pavement. He leaned against his car and stared up at the empty windows, feeling a hollow kind of ache. She'd vanished cleanly. Too cleanly. He slid into the driver's seat and opened the magazine again, scanning for anything. A clue, a location, a date. One of the captions mentioned a charity gala at the Wren Hotel downtown, hosted by the heiress herself. Tomorrow night. He whispered to the silence. Perfect. By morning, he hadn't slept. The city was waking. Steam curling from subway grates, the rumble of buses and feet and impatience. Ethan stood across the street from the Wren Hotel, staring at the marble columns that gleamed in the pale light. The building itself looked like it was born rich. Inside, men in suits drifted through the lobby, phones pressed to their ears. He stepped in, acting like he belonged, letting the scent of polished wood and cologne wrap around him. At the reception desk, a woman smiled professionally. "Good morning, sir. How may I help you?" He swallowed. "I'm looking for Lila Wren." Her smile didn't fade, but something shifted behind her eyes. "I'm sorry, sir. Miss Wren doesn't take visitors without appointment. Tell her it's Ethan, she'll know me." The receptionist hesitated, then typed something quickly. Her eyes flicked back to him. "I'll pass along your name. May I ask what this is regarding?" He almost said she lied to me, but stopped. "An old friend," he managed. She nodded politely. "Please take a seat." He waited. 10 minutes. Then 15. The lobby hummed around him, all marble echoes and polite laughter. He kept glancing at the elevators, half expecting her to step out. The Lila he knew, messy ponytail, coffee in hand. But when an elevator finally dinged, it wasn't her. 2 men in black suits stepped out, scanning the room until their gaze locked on him. "Mr. Carter?" One asked. Ethan straightened. "Yeah? Miss Wren won't be able to see you, but she wanted us to give you something." The man handed him a small white envelope. Ethan took it, the paper cold in his hand. She couldn't come down herself, no answer. They were already walking away. He tore it open, and inside was a single card. No message. No number. Just a handwritten address, and beneath it, one line. In her unmistakable script, "If you care about the truth, come alone." He looked up from the note. Rain streaking down the glass doors outside. The address was in the hills, 2 hours north of the city. Ethan folded the card carefully, slipped it into his pocket, and walked out without looking back. The city fell away behind him, replaced by winding roads and the thick hush of early evening. Ethan drove north, the air growing colder, the trees turning into silhouettes against a bruised sky. The directions on Lila's card led him past the last gas station, past the flicker of streetlights, until even the radio signal began to fade. He replayed every memory he had of her, the nights she'd laughed until she cried, the way she'd steal his hoodies and wear them until they smelled like her perfume, the sudden way she'd left, no warning, no trace. And now, an heiress, a face on a magazine. It didn't add up. The GPS blinked out just as he turned onto a narrow gravel road. It curved through the trees like a secret path, leading to a house that looked carved from old money. Tall windows, iron gates, and a stone drive slick with rain. He parked outside. The air smelled of pine and storm. For a moment, he just sat there, fingers gripping the wheel, heart thudding like it knew something he didn't. Then he stepped out. The house loomed, quiet and waiting. He rang the bell, footsteps slow, deliberate. Then the door opened, and there she was, Lila. She looked different, not just richer, colder somehow. The warmth he remembered had been replaced by a kind of practiced poise, the kind that came from cameras and control. Her hair was pinned back, her dress a soft gray. But her eyes, those were still hers. "Ethan," she said, almost whispering his name. He took a breath that barely came out. "You said you were broke." A flicker crossed her face like a ripple under still water. "You shouldn't have come. You left without saying anything. Then I see your face on a magazine cover, calling yourself Lila Wren. I think you owe me an explanation." Her eyes darted past him toward the trees, as if making sure no one had followed. Then she stepped aside. "Come in." The interior was all shadowed elegance. Paintings, chandeliers, the faint smell of wood smoke and perfume. She led him through a hall lined with portraits. He stopped at one. A stern-looking man with Lila's eyes, older, colder. "That's him, isn't it?" Ethan asked. "Charles Wren," she nodded once. "My father. You told me he was dead. He is. Then why lie about who you are?" She turned to face him, her voice low. "Because when I met you, I was trying to disappear." He frowned. "Disappear from what?" "From them," she said. "From this family. From the name. From the people who think money can erase everything." Ethan waited, the silence stretching between them. The fire popped in the next room. She looked at him, really looked, as if weighing what to say next. After my father died, there were expectations. I didn't want any of it. I just wanted to live as someone else. For a while I did, till someone found me. Found you? He echoed. Who? Before she could answer, there was a sound from the back of the house, the faint click of a door closing. Lila froze. Her hand went to his arm. You shouldn't have come alone, she whispered. Ethan's pulse spiked. What's going on? She glanced toward the dark hallway. You need to leave. Then now. But then a man's voice carried from the shadows, calm, deliberate. Too close. Too late for that, Ethan turned. A figure stepped forward wearing a black coat, his face sharp and unfamiliar. But his eyes were the same steel gray as the man in the painting. Lila's voice broke into a whisper. My brother, the man smiled faintly. Welcome to the family, Ethan. For a moment, no one moved. The fire in the next room hissed softly, throwing restless shadows across the walls. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears. The man's gaze, Lila's brother, was steady, unreadable, like he'd already decided how this night would end. Lila stepped between them, her voice trembling but controlled. Miles, don't. He almost laughed. You bring someone here after everything and tell me don't? He looked at Ethan. You have no idea what you've walked into, do you? Ethan's jaw tightened. I came here for answers. Miles took a slow step forward. Then here's one. My sister isn't who you think she is. Lila's tone cut through the air. Stop it. But Miles kept going. She ran away after our father's death, left a mess behind. A company on the edge of ruin, people depending on her. But she didn't care. She vanished. Changed her name, played poor, lived like a ghost. Ethan turned to her. Is that true? She didn't answer. Not immediately. Her eyes glistened, but she held his gaze. I ran because I couldn't breathe. Everything was built on lies, Ethan. My father wasn't some great man. He destroyed people and he called it business. Miles' voice hardened. He built everything we have. He bought it, she snapped. And I wasn't going to inherit his crimes. Ethan stepped back, torn between them, the air charged with something deeper than anger. Then why reach out to me? Why now? She looked at him, her voice breaking. Because they found me again. And I thought if anyone could help me figure out what really happened to my father, who killed him, it was you. The room went still. Miles' expression darkened. Careful, Lila. Ethan's mind reeled. Killed him? The news said... It said heart attack, Lila interrupted. But that wasn't the truth. I found things. Letters, transactions, people who suddenly disappeared after he died. I think someone wanted him gone. And now they're watching me. Miles' hand curled into a fist. You're paranoid. Then why have there been cars outside the gate every night this week? She shot back. Why did Father's lawyer call me from a blocked number before he vanished? Ethan felt the room tilt. He looked at Miles. You knew about this? I know that my sister's been unstable since our father passed. Miles's tone was smooth, but too measured. You shouldn't believe everything she says. Lila's eyes filled with fury. You're lying, he smiled faintly. Prove it. The tension thickened until it was hard to breathe. Then a sound, a faint vibration, cut through the silence. Ethan's phone. A known number, he answered instinctively. Hello? A voice low and urgent. Get out of that house, he froze. Who is this? Doesn't matter, the voice said. They're not what they seem. Check the study drawer, bottom left. Then run. The line went dead. Ethan looked up. Both Lila and Miles were staring at him. Who was that? Miles demanded. Ethan ignored him, moving toward the study door. Lila followed, whispering, Ethan, what's happening? He yanked the drawer open. Inside, an envelope unmarked. He tore it open, and a stack of photographs spilled out onto the desk. Images of Charles Wren, her father, meetings, documents, and then one photo stopped Ethan cold. It showed Lila standing in the same room, beside her father. And Miles, except Charles Wren looked very much alive. Lila stepped closer, her face draining of color. That's possible. Miles's voice came from behind them, calm and final. No, Lila. It's time you stopped running from the truth. He lifted something from his coat pocket, cold. metallic, glinting in the firelight, a gun. The sight of the gun froze everything, the ticking of the old clock, the soft hiss of the fire. Each sound stretched into something unreal. Ethan's breath came shallow. His eyes fixed on the silver glint in Miles' hand. Lila whispered, "Miles, please." "You don't have to do this." He didn't answer at first. The weapon stayed low, steady, as if it had always belonged there. "I warned you," he said quietly. "You should have stayed gone." Ethan stepped between them before he even thought to. "Put it down." Miles tilted his head, studying him. "You think you can protect her? You don't even know what she's done." Lila's voice cracked. "He doesn't need to. This isn't about him." But Miles's stare didn't leave Ethan. "You should have left her where she was hiding. She made her choice when she walked away from this family. She made her choice," Ethan shot back, "to live." Miles's jaw tightened, a flicker of emotion, anger, grief, something buried too long. "You think this is about money? About the name?" "No, she ruined everything. The company was supposed to pass to both of us. Then she vanished, took what she wanted, and left me to clean up the pieces." Lila's eyes widened. "You mean the pieces you sold off? The people you bribed to take control after father disappeared?" Miles' smile was paper thin. "You always were too curious," Ethan's heart hammered. "The photo. It showed your father alive. What does it mean?" Miles looked at him, then at Lila. "It means she lied to you again." Lila turned sharply. "No, he didn't die," Miles said, voice low, almost reverent. "Not then. Not of a heart attack. He faked it, because she found out what he'd done. The offshore accounts, the blackmail. She threatened to go public, and he needed to vanish. She helped him disappear." Ethan stared at Lila. "Tell me that's not true." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know what he was planning. I thought I was helping him run from the people he'd crossed. I didn't realize he meant to frame Miles, to make it look like his own son killed him." Miles laughed once, sharp and broken. "And yet that's exactly what happened. They came for me. The board, the press, the family. I lost everything. While you hid, I didn't know." Lila's voice rose, raw and shaking. "I didn't know until it was too late." The silence that followed was jagged. The gun wavered. Ethan took a small step forward, slow, careful. "Miles," he said quietly, "you don't have to end this here." But Miles's eyes were far away now, caught somewhere between fury and sorrow. "You don't understand. It already ended years ago." And then, a sound from behind him. The faint creak of a floorboard. Miles turned. Too late. A shot cracked through the hall, loud, blinding. He stumbled forward, eyes wide with shock, the gun slipping from his grasp. Behind him stood an older man, gray hair, the same steel gaze as the portraits. Charles Wren. Alive. Lila gasped, backing away. "Father?" He lowered the smoking pistol, voice cold and sure. "You should never have brought outsiders here." Ethan's world tilted. "You're supposed to be dead." Charles's expression didn't change. "Some men have to die to stay powerful." He stepped closer to his children, his tone softening like silk over stone. "Family first, always." Lila shook her head, tears streaking down her face. "You destroyed this family." He reached for her. "No, my dear. I made it." Ethan moved fast, grabbed Lila's wrist and pulled her toward the door. Charles shouted something, but they didn't stop. The night outside hit them like cold fire. They ran until the house vanished behind the trees, until the only sound left was their breathing. When they finally stopped, Lila collapsed against the car, trembling. Ethan looked back toward the dark silhouette of the mansion. "He's alive." "And Miles," her voice broke. "We can't go to the police. No one will believe us," he nodded slowly. The rain began to fall again, soft and relentless. "What now?" he asked. Lila lifted her eyes, haunted but resolute. "Now," she said, "we finish what I started." He waited. "Which is?" "Bringing him down." And as thunder rolled across the hills, she turned toward the road, the glow of dawn just beginning to break through the clouds, light against the ruin behind them. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and visit the channel for more real-life stories.